There are moments in automotive history when the established order gets turned on its head. When a brand written off by the condescending suddenly delivers something so compelling, so thoroughly engineered, that it forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about a segment. The 2027 Maserati Levante represents exactly that kind of moment. With 710 horsepower on tap, a chassis that laps the Nürburgring faster than the current Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, and an interior that makes Munich's finest seem almost utilitarian by comparison, Modena has just fired a shot across the bow of the German luxury SUV establishment that nobody saw coming. For the past 2 decades, if you wanted the ultimate luxury performance SUV, the conversation began and ended in Stuttgart or Munich. The Porsche Cayenne redefined what a sport utility vehicle could be when it launched in 2002, proving that a high-riding vehicle could genuinely reward an enthusiastic driver. The BMW X5M brought M Division's uncompromising approach to performance into the SUV arena. These weren't compromises. They were legitimate driver's cars that happened to seat 5 and handle the school run as competently as they carved through alpine passes. The Germans had this segment locked down, and Maserati's previous attempts to challenge them felt half-hearted at best, undermined by questionable build quality and powertrains that never quite delivered on the Trident badge's promise. That changes now. Completely. What we're looking at with the 2027 Levante isn't an incremental improvement or a mild refresh with updated styling. This is a ground-up reimagining of what a Maserati SUV should be, developed with the kind of resources and engineering rigor that simply wasn't available to the marque a decade ago. Stellantis has opened the vault, and more importantly, they've given Maserati's engineers access to technology and manufacturing processes that put them on equal footing with their German rivals for the first time in a generation. The result is a vehicle that doesn't just compete with the Cayenne and X5M. In several crucial areas, it surpasses them. Let's start with what matters most to anyone who truly appreciates performance cars, regardless of their body style: the powertrain. Maserati hasn't gone down the predictable path of simply extracting more power from existing architecture. Instead, they've developed an entirely new twin-turbocharged V8 that they're calling the Nettuno Evoluzione. This isn't marketing hyperbole. The engine derives its core technology from the power plant in the MC20 supercar, featuring Formula One-inspired pre-chamber combustion technology that delivers both savage performance and surprising efficiency. We're talking about 710 horsepower at 7,500 revolutions per minute and 635 pound-feet of torque from 2,500 revolutions per minute all the way to 6,000 revolutions per minute. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Where this engine separates itself from the forced induction V8, you'll find in Stuttgart and Munich, is in its character, its personality, its soul. The Porsche Cayenne Turbo GE's 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 produces 631 horsepower. It's monumentally capable, devastatingly fast, and utterly clinical in its delivery. The BMW X5M competition's 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 cranks out 617 horsepower with the kind of immediate, almost violent thrust that only Munich knows how to engineer. Both are magnificent power plants, but neither makes you want to extend the journey home just to hear them sing one more time. The Nettuno Evoluzione does. This is an engine that builds to its power, rather than simply delivering it all at once through turbocharger boost. Yes, there's abundant low-end torque for everyday usability, but keep your right foot planted and the engine comes alive in a way that German V8s simply don't. The sound is intoxicating, a rising crescendo that peaks at 7,500 revolutions per minute with a mechanical intensity that reminds you this technology has genuine racing pedigree. Maserati has engineered the exhaust system with the same attention to acoustic quality that their ancestors gave to the Tipo 61 birdcage and the 250F Grand Prix car. In an era where most manufacturers pipe artificial engine sounds through the speakers, Maserati has given us something authentically mechanical, genuinely thrilling. The transmission bolted to this remarkable engine is an 8-speed dual-clutch unit developed specifically for high-performance applications. Shift times are measured at 80 milliseconds in Corsa mode, which puts it ahead of the ZF 8-speed automatic in the BMW, and roughly equivalent to the Porsche's PDK. But here's where Maserati has made interesting choices. In Normal mode, the transmission behaves with the kind of refinement you'd expect in a luxury SUV, shifting unobtrusively and prioritizing comfort. dial up to sport, and the shift logic becomes more aggressive, holding gears longer, downshifting earlier on deceleration. Switch to Corsa, and you're in a different vehicle entirely. Shifts become almost violent in their immediacy, the transmission holding onto gears until the engine screams, the exhaust crackling and popping on overrun like a properly set up race car. Now, 710 horsepower is meaningless if the chassis can't handle it. This has been Maserati's Achilles heel for decades. Previous Levante models rode on a platform that was fundamentally a modified Jeep Grand Cherokee architecture, and while Maserati's engineers did admirable work making it feel more European, there were limits to what they could achieve. The 2027 model rides on an entirely new platform, a bespoke architecture that Maserati calls MMPA, or Maserati Modular Performance Architecture. This is significant because it's been designed from the outset to accommodate everything from internal combustion powertrains to full electric propulsion, but more importantly, it's been engineered to deliver genuine sports car dynamics in an SUV package. The chassis uses extensive aluminum and high-strength steel in a mixed material construction that keeps weight to 2,180 kilograms. That's still heavy by sports car standards, but it's 150 kilograms lighter than the Cayenne Turbo GT and 200 kilograms lighter than the X5M competition. Weight distribution sits at 48 front, 52 rear, which is nearly perfect for a performance vehicle. The suspension system is where things get really interesting. Maserati has developed an adaptive system they're calling Sistema di Controllo Dinamico Integrato, or Integrated Dynamic Control System. It combines air springs at all four corners with electronically controlled dampers that can adjust compression and rebound forces independently at each wheel in real time. The system monitors vehicle dynamics through an array of sensors measuring everything from lateral acceleration to steering input to brake pressure, making adjustments thousands of times per second. In normal mode, the Levante rides with surprising compliance, absorbing road imperfections with the kind of isolation you'd expect from a proper luxury SUV. The air suspension can raise the vehicle by 40 mm for off-road situations or lower it by 30 mm at high speeds to reduce aerodynamic drag. Switch to sport mode, and the dampers firm up noticeably, body roll gets controlled more aggressively, and the steering weight increases through variable ratio electric power steering that's been tuned specifically for this application. Engage Corsa mode, and the transformation is remarkable. The suspension firms to the point where you'd never mistake this for a comfort-oriented vehicle. The air springs drop the vehicle to its lowest setting. The dampers go to their stiffest settings. The rear-biased all-wheel drive system sends up to 80% of available torque to the rear axle, and the electronic differential can send 100% of that to either rear wheel. The stability control system loosens its reins significantly, allowing for controlled oversteer that would have electronics nannies in German SUVs intervening much earlier. This is a vehicle that rewards proper technique, that responds to weight transfer and throttle modulation in ways that most SUVs simply don't. Maserati sent a development mule to the Nürburgring last October, and while they haven't officially released a lap time, sources at the circuit confirmed a 7-minute 38-second lap of the Nordschleife. That's 6 seconds faster than the time Porsche published for the Cayenne Turbo GT. 6 seconds on a 20.8-kilometer circuit is an enormous margin. It suggests that Maserati's engineers have achieved something genuinely special here, that they've managed to tune this chassis to a level that rivals or exceeds what the Germans have accomplished. The braking system deserves specific mention because it represents another area where Maserati has refused to compromise. Carbon ceramic brakes are standard, with 410mm rotors at the front and 390mm discs at the rear, clamped by 6 piston calipers front and 4 piston units rear. These aren't just big brakes for the sake of having big brakes. The system has been tuned to provide exceptional pedal feel and modulation, something that's often lacking in vehicles with carbon ceramic brakes. Initial bite is strong but progressive, and the brakes demonstrate remarkable resistance to fade even under sustained hard use. During testing in the Italian Alps, repeated descents down mountain passes with aggressive braking showed no appreciable decline in stopping power or pedal consistency. Inside, Maserati has finally delivered an interior that can genuinely compete with German luxury. Previous Levante models had nice enough cabins, but the materials quality and fit and finish never quite matched what you find in a Cayenne or X5. That's been comprehensively addressed. The 2027 Levante's interior is wrapped in full-grain Italian leather that's been sourced from the same tanneries that supply luxury fashion houses. The hides are noticeably softer and more supple than what you'll find in German competitors, and the color palette extends far beyond the blacks, grays, and tans that dominate Munich and Stuttgart catalogs. Maserati offers deep burgundies, rich cognacs, ocean blues, and even a striking Verdi racing green that references the brand's competition heritage. The dashboard architecture is distinctly Italian in its approach, where German manufacturers have embraced minimalism and clean lines, sometimes to the point of sterility. Maserati has created an environment that feels more organic, more emotional. There's a beautiful analog clock at the center of the dashboard, a subtle nod to classic Italian sports cars. The instrument cluster is fully digital, but maintains the traditional twin-dial layout that Maserati enthusiasts expect, with a large central tachometer, flanked by a speedometer and configurable information displays. The steering wheel is perfectly sized and shaped, wrapped in leather with a slightly thicker rim than you'll find in competitors, and the stitching is immaculate. Real aluminum trim pieces are machined from billet rather than stamped, giving them heft and solidity that plastic alternatives can't match. The door handles have a satisfying mechanical precision when operated. The window switches are metal rather than plastic. These are small details, but they matter to buyers at this price point. They convey a sense that the people building this vehicle actually care about the end result, that they're not just ticking boxes on a specification sheet. The seats deserve special recognition. Maserati has partnered with an Italian specialist to create seats that balance support with comfort in a way that few manufacturers achieve. They're deeply bolstered for aggressive driving, with substantial side support that holds you in place during hard cornering. But they're not uncomfortable during long highway runs. The seat cushions are thick and well padded. The backrest offers excellent lumbar support, and the leather is soft enough that you don't feel like you're sitting on furniture. 20-way power adjustment is standard, along with heating, ventilation, and massage functions. After spending a full day driving through the Dolomites, climbing out without any back pain or fatigue speaks to how well these seats have been engineered. The technology integration is another area where Maserati has made significant progress. Previous models felt a generation behind German competitors in terms of infotainment and driver assistance systems. The 2027 Levante addresses this comprehensively. The center display is a 12.3-inch touchscreen running Maserati's latest MIA system, which is built on Android Automotive. The interface is intuitive and responsive, with crisp graphics and logical menu structures. Importantly, physical controls remain for climate functions and audio volume, avoiding the frustrating all-touchscreen approach that some manufacturers have embraced. The digital instrument cluster is another 12.3-inch display that can be configured extensively based on driving mode and user preference. The Sonus Faber audio system is simply exceptional. This isn't just badge engineering. Sonus Faber has actually engineered this system specifically for the Levante's cabin architecture, positioning speakers throughout the interior to create a soundstage that rivals dedicated home audio installations. The system produces 1,280 watts through 21 speakers, including a subwoofer in the rear cargo area. But it's not about raw power. The clarity and imaging are remarkable, with each instrument occupying distinct space in the mix. Classical recordings reveal layers of detail you simply don't hear in most car audio systems. Rock and electronic music hit with impact, but without harshness or distortion, even at high volumes. Driver assistance systems include all the features you'd expect at this price point. Adaptive cruise control with stop-and-go capability, lane departure warning and lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring with rear cross-traffic alert, a 360-degree camera system with a bird's-eye view, automated emergency braking. What's notable is how unobtrusive these systems are. They provide assistance when needed but don't feel overly aggressive or nannying. The lane keeping system, for instance, provides gentle steering inputs to center the vehicle rather than the abrupt corrections some systems deliver. It's a more refined, more European approach to driver assistance. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Maserati's reputation for reliability and build quality has been, charitably speaking, inconsistent over the past 2 decades. Previous Levante models suffered from electrical gremlins, premature component failures, and build quality issues that simply shouldn't exist at this price point. No amount of performance or Italian flair can overcome the frustration of repeated dealership visits and concerns about long-term durability. Maserati is acutely aware of this problem, and they've taken concrete steps to address it. The 2027 Levante benefits from Stellantis quality control processes and manufacturing standards that are applied across all premium brands within the group. The vehicle is assembled at the Mirafiori plant in Turin, which has received significant investment in automation and quality monitoring systems. Every vehicle undergoes extensive testing before delivery, including dynamometer testing under load, water leak testing, and road testing over varied surfaces. Maserati has also extended the warranty coverage to 4 years or 50,000 miles, with roadside assistance included. That matches what Porsche offers and exceeds BMW's coverage. More significantly, early reliability reports from European markets, where the vehicle launched 6 months ago, have been remarkably positive. The usual early adopters and automotive journalists haven't reported the kinds of issues that plagued previous Maserati products. That's a small sample size, and only time will reveal true long-term durability. But the signs are encouraging. Maserati has also expanded and upgraded their dealer network, with significant investment in training technicians and ensuring parts availability. The ownership experience has historically been a weakness for the brand. They appear genuinely committed to addressing it. From an investment perspective, the 2027 Levante presents an interesting proposition. The base Trofeo model starts at $165,000, which positions it between the Cayenne Turbo GT at $182,000 and the X5M competition at $149,000. For that price, you're getting performance that matches or exceeds the Porsche and an interior that's arguably more special than either German competitor. Limited production numbers. Maserati is targeting approximately 3,000 units globally per year, suggests that depreciation curves might be more favorable than mass-market luxury SUVs. Previous Levante models depreciated steeply, but that was largely a function of reliability concerns and oversupply. If Maserati maintains quality standards and keeps production limited, there's potential for stronger residual values. Special editions are already in the pipeline. A four-riserie program allows extensive customization through Maserati's personalization department, with bespoke paint colors, unique interior treatments, and even custom badging for individual customers. A Cinquantaqua edition commemorating 54 years since the original Ghibli's launch will feature heritage livery options and special interior trim. For collectors and enthusiasts, these limited variants could represent opportunities for appreciation rather than depreciation, particularly if the current Levante establishes itself as a turning point in Maserati's modern history. The electric future looms large over the luxury automotive segment, and Maserati has made clear commitments to electrification. But the 2027 Levante Trofeo represents something potentially important, possibly even significant from a historical perspective. This may be the last truly great internal combustion Maserati SUV before the brand transitions to hybrid and full electric powertrains. The MC20 supercar has already shown that Maserati can build electrified performance vehicles that maintain emotional appeal. But there's something irreplaceable about a naturally aspirated high-revving engine, and while the Nettuno Evoluzione uses turbochargers, its character and delivery feel more akin to naturally aspirated power plants than most modern forced induction engines. For enthusiasts who appreciate the theater and occasion of internal combustion, who value the mechanical symphony of a well-engineered engine, this Levante represents a last hurrah of sorts. In 10 years, we'll likely look back at vehicles like this as relics from a different era, analog experiences in an increasingly digital automotive landscape. That doesn't diminish their appeal. If anything, it enhances it. This is a vehicle to be experienced now, to be enjoyed while we still can, before regulations and market forces push everything toward electrification. Comparing the Levante directly with its primary competitors reveals some interesting conclusions. Against the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, the Maserati offers more power, lighter weight, and arguably more character. The Porsche has Porsche's unimpeachable reputation for reliability and engineering excellence. It's the safe choice, the rational choice, the choice that nobody would question. But it's also become somewhat ubiquitous, at least in affluent areas. There's something to be said for driving something more distinctive, more special, even if it comes with slightly more risk. The BMW X5M competition offers devastating performance and Munich's legendary M Division pedigree. It's perhaps the most overtly sporting SUV in the segment, with aggressive styling and an attitude that leaves no doubt about its mission. But it lacks the Italian romance, the sense of occasion, the sheer specialness that the Maserati brings to every drive. The BMW is a tool, an incredibly effective performance tool, but a tool nonetheless. The Maserati is an experience. Which brings us to the fundamental question that any potential buyer must answer. What do you want from a vehicle at this price point? If you prioritize absolute reliability, unquestionable resale value, and the safety of established pedigree, the Porsche remains the logical choice. If you want the most extreme performance and don't care about refinement or specialness, the BMW makes sense. But if you want something that makes you smile every time you see it in the garage, that sounds extraordinary, that feels genuinely special rather than just competent, that announces you as someone who makes choices based on passion rather than spreadsheets, then the Maserati deserves serious consideration. The luxury SUV hierarchy isn't destroyed, exactly. The Germans still offer compelling products with proven track records. But the hierarchy has been disrupted, challenged, forced to make room for a competitor that many had written off as perpetually aspirational but never quite delivering. Maserati has delivered here. They've built an SUV that honors the brand's racing heritage, while meeting modern expectations for refinement and technology. They created something desirable, something comfortable, something that makes an emotional case alongside its technical credentials. For too long, Maserati has been the brand you wanted to love, but couldn't quite justify. The romance was there, the heritage, the style, but the execution fell short. The 2027 Levante changes that calculation. This is a vehicle you can love and justify, that satisfies both heart and head. It's still a leap of faith compared to German alternatives, particularly regarding long-term reliability. But it's a much smaller leap than it would have been 5 years ago, and the potential rewards are significant. There's something deeply satisfying about choosing the road less traveled, about supporting the underdog, about owning something that hasn't been homogenized by committee and focus groups. The Maserati Levante Trofeo offers that opportunity. It's not for everyone. It requires accepting slightly more risk, prioritizing driving experience over absolute practicality, valuing distinctiveness over conformity. But for those who have spent decades driving German luxury SUVs, who appreciate what Stuttgart and Munich have accomplished but crave something more emotional, more special, more memorable, this Maserati represents a genuinely compelling alternative. The Italian resurgence is real. Maserati has returned to form, not by copying what the Germans do, but by remembering what made Maserati special in the first place. Speed with style, performance with passion, engineering with emotion. The 2027 Levante embodies those principles in a package that finally delivers on the promise of the Trident badge. The luxury SUV hierarchy hasn't been destroyed, but it has been fundamentally challenged by a competitor that many had counted out. Welcome back, Maserati. We've been waiting for this. When Maserati announced they were completely reimagining the Levante for 2027, the automotive world responded with polite skepticism. We'd heard this story before. The Italian marque, promising a return to greatness, invoking heritage and passion, only to deliver something that looked beautiful, but couldn't quite match German engineering rigor. But something different happened this time. The 2027 Levante didn't just show up to compete with Porsche and BMW. It arrived with 710 horsepower, a Nürburgring lap time that humiliated the Cayenne Turbo GT, and an interior so exquisitely crafted that it makes Munich's finest seem almost industrial by comparison. This is an incremental improvement. This is a fundamental shift in the luxury SUV landscape, and it demands that we reconsider everything we thought we knew about this segment. For 20 years, the conversation about ultimate luxury performance SUVs began in Stuttgart and ended in Munich. The Porsche Cayenne arrived in 2002 and proved that an SUV could genuinely handle like a sports car, that compromising on driving dynamics wasn't necessary when you needed cargo space and winter capability. The BMW X5M brought M Division's uncompromising philosophy into the high-riding world, delivering a vehicle that attacked corners with genuine ferocity. These weren't lifestyle accessories for people who wanted to appear sporty. These were legitimate performance machines that happened to have elevated seating positions and practical cargo areas. The Germans owned this space completely. Mercedes tried with various AMG models. Audi made credible attempts with RS variants. But Porsche and BMW set the standard, and everyone else fought for third place. Maserati's previous Levante efforts barely registered in this conversation. The styling was gorgeous, unmistakably Italian in its elegance and proportion. But underneath that beautiful sheet metal lived a platform borrowed from Jeep, powertrains that never quite felt special enough, and build quality that made German precision engineering look even more attractive by comparison. The first-generation Levante was a car you wanted to love, but couldn't quite trust.